nervous system, which is not the best for them. So we just give that as a treat.
Sloths love you.
Go down, bud. You got some food in your nose. Doesn't look very appealing.
Oh.
But he will hang down like this, and if you want to put some in your hand, you can just hand feed him like that.
I gotta go down this one. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And you can get up, you can stand real close to him too. He doesn't mind at all.
Oh my goodness. Good boy. You're so gentle. You want some more?
So I think one have you guys updated?
More.
I have a VIP.
Okay, yeah. So when you go in there to hold Zoe, you'll see that it's very much different, Zoe from Flash. They were born and raised in two totally different environments. They were both born and raised in captivity, but Zoe had a lot of conditioning.
No, it's okay, I get Zoe.
Zoe had a lot of conditioning from a young age that, you know, kind of just conditioned her to enjoy being held by people, where Flash did not have that same type of conditioning for him.
Did you have Zoe longer than Flash?
Flash we've had the longest. We've had Flash for about 3 years now. Zoe's only 17 months old.
Will he mind if I like touch him?
No, you can pet it real nice and slow just with the grain of the hair. Of course.
I like horsehair. It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Now in the wild, those hairs actually allow them to grow moss and algae all throughout it. And that's really beneficial for a wild sloth because they use that not only for camouflage, but actually as a way to digest their food as well.
The moss?
Yes, so the moss, as long as they have moss, they'll have moths that live in their fur. And it's the moths that give them the ability to digest their food. They produce a very specific type of bacteria in their waste that once the sloth ingests that, that's where they get the means to be able to digest their food.
So one of my favorite things is sloth swimming.
Yes.
Do you have a pool for them to swim?
We don't, so that's not something that they really like enjoy. It's just that that's their fastest form of transportation is actually by water. And so since they're not really needing to transport anywhere quickly, we don't supply water. I mean, we give them water to drink, obviously, but to swim in, that's not something that's a necessity for them.
I also, you see websites and stuff where the sloths, they bathe the baby sloths and then they just hang them up to dry. They
Yeah.
bathe them in this like herbal thing.
Yeah, I don't know if I know exactly what you're talking about as far as the herbal thing, but definitely, sloths are very easily to stress animals, and obviously this type of environment is not natural for them. It's not something that, a sloth obviously is not born wanting to hold on to people. That's not something that is ingrained into them, and that's something that is a conditioned and learned trait. But as far as like baths and stuff like that, that's not something that's required or that's necessary for a sloth to have. They don't have any natural scent glands, musk glands, or anything like that on them, and so they don't need that, and we don't opt to give them baths or anything like that. You know, if they need a butt bath or something like that, if they come down to use the bathroom and they kind of wiggle their booty around too low on the ground, we'll bathe them. But as far as an entire whole bath and then hanging them out to dry, like I saw a video the other day on TikTok where somebody gave one of their sloths a bath and then put them out on a ladder out in the yard. And that sloth was extremely stressed because not only is their eyesight really poor, but their hearing is really enhanced. And so the clicking and clacking of him climbing around on that ladder is a metal ladder. You know, and obviously the leather that they have on their paw pads is extremely sensitive, and it was bright sun, daylight out there that shined down on that metal. So that metal's probably hot, and he's confused. They do have poor eyesight. They probably didn't know what was going on. And so there's a lot of misconceptions behind how to own or how to treat a sloth, because they're not like any other animal in the world. But yeah.
Do they have ear holes?
They do have ear holes, but they do have whole little ears as well.
Is it this part right here? Is that his ear?
I think that's hair.
Yeah, that's all
With
just
the
hair.
green, with the green.
But on the sides of their heads, they do have ears. They're just covered by some hair. But like I said, they do only really like to have their hair moved with the grain. They don't really move it around too much for flash.
He's a gentle, gentle.
What's
You're
the
a
line from
good
Zootopia? Flash,
boy.
flash.
100-yard dash.
Yeah. So we have a flash, we have a dash, we have a Zoe, and we're about to have a Chloe.
Like about to be born or about to be
No, we
sent to you
don't,
guys?
yeah, we don't breed any of the sloths that we have here. We have the ability to, we have the genetics to be able to do so, but we don't have any plans to right now. So she will come from the same breeder that we got Dash and Zoe from, that condition their babies from a young age to enjoy being held. And they will become ambassador sloth, so that's what she will be. We thought that we were gonna get our next baby sloth, or next baby girl sloth, about a month ago, and she came through the same program and everything, but once she was weaned, they have to meet 2 requirements to become an ambassador sloth. They have to genuinely enjoy and actively seek out human interaction, and if they don't do one or the other of those, they will not become ambassador sloth. So the breeder was just kind of picking up that she, would tolerate being held by people, but didn't really actively seek it out. So she ended up going to a different facility that wasn't going to interact with her as much.
Phoebe's all baby.
We had the kangaroo encounter yesterday.
Yeah. So this has got some supplements and stuff in it, so I don't know that you'll be able to put this in your hand, but if you want to hold the bowl.
Probably let me know I get the VIP thing. You go ahead and enjoy.
You are so sweet.
You want this for a bowl that is not eaten?
So sweet.
I would just leave it there for now. We'll use that for Zoe here in a minute.
You're so sweet. You like your supplements? No.
He definitely doesn't mind it.
Well, because you're mixing it in fun stuff.
Exactly.
You have a kitten that gets medication, you gotta mix it in with some fun stuff.
Yeah.
She knows though. Binks definitely knew. He would not eat.
And he knows too. I mean, you can definitely tell if I offered him the difference between the normal rice and the rice with supplements in it. He definitely would go for the one that didn't have supplements, but he is a softie for the rice, so.
Do the baby roos ever interact with the sloths?
No. No, the sloths are very solitary animals, and so the only time that they're ever around another sloth is if we're just in the same room. So if he's up on the branch there, and then we have Zoe or Dash down sitting with her, that's about the extent of their interaction with other animals. They are generally very solitary animals, and so this type of interaction, like I said, is not natural for a sloth, and just to be introducing other type of animals and things like that to them would just not be necessary.
So you put them in the outdoor enclosure?
And we don't have to put them out there. All we have to do is open up their door, and we have a stick that we'll set up that allows him to go out there on his own, and he goes out there.
You
So
want
like I
to
said,
walk on the ground?
no, the only time that a sloth ever comes down to the base of the tree is to go to the bathroom, and that's only once a week.
Really?
Yeah. So when they're down,
It's like
obviously,
the perfect pet for you.
sloths.
I don't think I want to deal with the
A week's worth of
a
stuff.
week's worth of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, when they do go, it's about a third of their entire body weight.
Oh my goodness, yeah, no.
So
No,
it
thank
is-
you.
It is a massive amount. And since it cooks in there for so long, it is pretty pungent.
They usually do it outside, or?
No,
Wherever
they
they are.
always go, so you can see in Flash's enclosure that he has 2 trees in his indoor enclosure that go down to the base of the floor. But there's only shavings around one of those trees because that is the only tree that he ever uses and will ever use to go to the bathroom. And that was established by him, not us. Even though these guys have been born and raised in captivity for generations upon generations, it is still something that is hardwired into them, that they have to use the same tree, the same side of the tree, to the same pile that they always go to every week. And that's because of the relationship that they have with those moths that live on their backs. So those moths can't fly around the environment like other type of moths can, and they require direct contact to be able to crawl up onto the sloth. And so the sloth has to go down to the base of the tree to go to the bathroom once a week, every week.
Is Baku in here?
Should be. So so that those moths can come down and lay their eggs in the waste box.
So this right here was our first baby kangaroo born on the farm.
That's scare you, buddy.
Is that it? You all done?
Yeah, you finished it out.
How long do they keep their babies with them?
So the two-toed sloths only keep their babies for about 5 or 6 months. You can rinse your hands off here and say keep them too. The three-toed sloths keep their babies for about a year.
The three-toed sloths a year, and then how long?
About 5 or 6 months. Yeah.
Okay. And that's the extent of like colors.
Yeah, they don't have the same type of relationship with their babies as other mammals do. So if you think about a horse or, I usually just use the horse example, but a lot of other animals too will have a relationship with their baby that even after that baby is weaned, they still stick around. Here, you can use that. They still stick around their mothers for a while afterwards just because they have that bond. But sloths don't have that same type of relationship with their babies. After you can just lay it here. There's not a trash can in here. I'll have to take it outside. But after they have weaned their baby, the baby only nurses for about 5 weeks. After that, then the baby will go with the mother just to be able to learn, everything that she has to teach it. So how to climb, how to evade things that are scary, just how to be a sloth. And after she teaches everything to that baby, and she thinks that baby has enough knowledge, and she'll just leave it. And it's not always that the mother will leave the baby. Sometimes instead the baby will wean itself and leave the mother. And a lot of times, if the mother is the one that weans the baby will stay in that same tree the rest of its life. They don't really move around a whole lot, and they tend to, they're very routine animals, and they tend to pick the specific type of leaves that they like to eat. Of the sarcopia trees, there's a few different varieties, and they all taste just a little bit differently, and so they will definitely pick their favorite and stick in that tree for a long time.
How do they meet other sloths,
So the females, once they go into heat, they actually let out a really loud screech, and that alerts all of the males in the area that she is ready to be bred. And so all the ones that are able to hear her and think that they can make it there in time will slowly start to make their way to her. And it'll just be the first one that makes it there will be the lucky winner. They don't really fight for their mates like a lot of other animals do. If they were to, 2 males at the same time be about to go up the same tree and she still is letting out that screech sound, then they may bicker just a little bit, but it's definitely not something like other animals.
Do you guys introduce certain moths and stuff to them? Do you try to?
So that's the thing, is that those moths can only live in South America on the back of the sloth. That is the only place that they can live in the entire world. And so we can't replicate that here. And it is a symbiotic relationship for those moths that live in the wild, because that bacteria that those moths produce is very specific to the temperature that it can live in. So with the temperature always fluctuating in the wild, if it drops much below what that bacteria requires to be able to thrive in the gut of the sloth, it could be completely wiped out of the sloth's gut. And then that sloth has to have a way to get that bacteria population back up, which is how they use the moths. But for a captive sloth, after they've established that bacteria colony from their mothers around day 3, they keep that colony the rest of their life because we keep them in a stable environment. But if we were to open up their outdoor enclosure in the winter months, or when it's below 75 degrees and their enclosure dropped to 75 degrees, the sloth's body temperature would as well, because they can't maintain their own body temperature. And if that happens to a sloth in captivity that does not have those moths that live on them, then they're pretty much done after that. All that bacteria will be wiped out. There's not really a way we can
Rachel said, "Come on, it's my turn. It's my turn."
Oh, it's armadillo. So he doesn't
Alright, this guy is Bob.
He doesn't need it, because after we establish those from his mother and he has that good gut bacteria, we always keep it 78 degrees in here, and that's what temperature that bacteria thrives at the best. So he will always keep that. Now, if anything were to happen, that temperature dropped below 73 degrees, then that would slowly start to wipe out that bacteria. And there's not.
Do you have a backup generator?
We do. Yeah. We always have a backup plan in place to know exactly what to do, you know, if we were to ever go through a power outage or anything like that.
He's just such a chill boy.
No,
And that,
Living your best life.
that position that he's in right now, where he's kind of real close up to the branch, is a really comfortable position for most sloths. And if a sloth is not actively eating or sleeping, they're probably in that position, even with their head maybe in between those front legs, looking like they're sleeping. And so for that reason, scientists used to speculate that they slept around like 15 or around like 20 plus hours. But in reality, they only sleep like 15 to 16 hours a day. And that's because a lot of times when they look like they're sleeping, they have their head in between their legs, but they're actually awake. They just don't have enough energy to be able to be moving around, expelling energy like that. And that's because what they eat in the wild are just leaves of the Ocoee trees. And that diet is extremely low in calories, and it takes calories in order to create energy. So they don't really have enough energy storage to be able to just be moving around and exploring.
So deers have a little more energy than the average sloth?
Yeah, they do.
Get a better diet?
Yeah.
So why they get like the rice and everything?
It's not because we want them to be more active, it's because, you know, obviously.
So just like for the calories.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we make sure that we're trying to replicate the diet as best as we can to what they would naturally get and the requirements for their diet that they would need in the wild. And so obviously there's not any type of leaves that completely replicate the leaves of the Ocoee trees that they would naturally eat. But so that's why we supplement with other veggies and things like that.
Kangaroos are very interested in everything. Got to graduate from the pouch.
To go back to a pouch.
Rachel is about there, but Phoebe, they get pretty active sometimes, especially if they've just been out of the pouch. They move around a lot, but if they had a choice, they would definitely rather be in the pouch. That's where they feel most secure. Yeah. And if they're out running around, hopping around and stuff, and then we show them a pouch, they go right into it.
Are y'all gonna keep Rachel a little bit longer in this pouch until Phoebe gets bigger?
Oh,
Or?
yeah. We try to raise them, you know, in pairs like that. So they'll probably both eventually, once we move Rachel over with the bigger kangaroos, we'll just move Phoebe in as well, just keep her in the pouch if she wants to. And that pouch will always be, you know, available to them if that's where they want to go.
Do you ever have any of the bigger roos try to get into a pouch?
Not really. After the size that they are out there, they're pretty much done. And they don't, you know, don't really look for that anymore.
Do they get, if you did put, would they ever get like aggressive with the smaller ones if they're living with them all the time? Because I know Max and Ruby, they seem to just coexist pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty chill. Now, Phoebe, I think that, I'm not a kangaroo expert. Obviously, I spend most of the time with the sloths in here, but I think that sometimes Phoebe gets a little bit insecure with how much smaller she is than Ruby and Max, and even Rachel sometimes. Because when they're out there playing, it's always her that is the instigator. She will start little tussles where she grabs them around their necks, or she like pokes them in the face all of a sudden. And then after they have enough and they start to retaliate, she runs away and retreats, and she's like, no, I'm not interested.
It's just a game.
Yeah.
Just playing.
So where did you become so knowledgeable about sloths?
Here. A lot of it was just on the job training. Beforehand, I never worked with sloths or anything like that before. I'm wanting to make them the vet school, and I didn't have a whole lot with exotic experience, which is why I started working here, was to just kind of fill in the gaps for all of my experience and everything to be able to apply with the vet school.
Where do you apply?
I'm wanting to get into UT, but apply to several different places.
Virginia Tech's vet school.
It's
Yeah.
not a state though.
Yeah.
Tech is expensive in-state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same way for LMU is the only other in-state vet school for Tennessee, but it's private, so it's basically like paying out-of-state tuition.
But you know what, private schools, they are so much more expensive, but there are scholarships and stuff
Yeah.
that offset that. So
Yeah.
don't, just give up on that.
Yeah.
That's a tough school. And do you want to specialize in exotic animals?
No, I think my heart really lies in livestock animals, so larger animals like horses and cows, sheep and goats and stuff like that.
Here, come here and watch this armadillo run. It's so funny. Is he nervous right now? Is that why he's going back and forth?
No, he always just runs around like that. He's a ball of energy.
Literally a ball. Oh, that's... Go eat the flies, buddy.
I wish he did. People always ask me if he eats flies, but he's not fast enough.
He thinks he is.
I wish he had a little tongue that would just go out and get him. He'd really solve the problem in here, but we've got just a few minutes left in here with Flash. It's really interesting actually to watch how quickly he can go back up to his enclosure. So if you guys want to watch how he goes back in after he realizes his door is open. They make for some really good videos too if you want to come in here first ahead of him, because what he's going to do is come on this door frame, and if you're from this way, watch him come in, it's really good to watch.
I wore my boots out there yesterday.
So this camera is not for him to lay in. No, it's not either. Actually, it's here for, you know, if you were to actually fall from up there. This camera is supposed to be off. It feels like the same house, but there's a thermostat as well.
More air circulation.
Recently trimmed, that's as short as they can go. And the feet also rotate 180 degrees. So you can run up and down and create a similarly expressive feet. But in the wild, in the trees, he likes to eat a lot of leaves. If you create one of the
Watch videos of babies.
You guys from situations like that? There was once that he actually climbed onto the rope right there, which is not meant for that. And this was like when I first started about 3 months ago. And John saw him just dangling from that rope and just kind of came in. Like I said, we never held Flash, and so that would be a totally different experience for him to have that. But John came in here and just stood like right next to the rope when he was extending down on that, and was just like, I'm just here in case you're like needing some assistance, and just stood there for a minute. You could tell Flash was like looking at him and looking back up, like trying to just sort through how I'm going to get myself out of the situation, and ultimately just decided that he could figure it out himself and ended up just going back up on that branch. But yeah, if we are to ever hold Flash, that will be his decision, and it would have to be him that initiates coming on us. And I'm not sure that it would last for very long. I think that once he realized that he was actually holding on to us, he would probably get a little bit startled, but this is very new. Just a triggering it. Not gonna say whenever.
So you just started this in the summertime?
Well, I started it after I had applied to that school last year, but didn't get accepted. And so I had a good amount of large animals, small animal experience, but not a whole lot of exotics. So I knew that they were looking for somebody to be the main person to do the small numbers and everything. So I started to do some research and everything on what all I could do as far as doing these small work. And I've been known about this place for a while because I was writing for the large animal that does the vet work around here. And so it was really cool to get to watch this place grow. The building that we're in now has not always been here. It's something that we just recently. We always kind of keep in
surprised they're able to do that with how sensitive their nose is. Does Sloth show any interest in that?
That's what I'm looking for, those, I think after Reno's sitting on there, I'm not there, he's probably not gonna stay out there for very long, because he doesn't.
Come back in?
He's not a big fan of Baku. If Baku's running around his enclosure down there on the floor, he won't come down from his hammock, he stays up there.
Coming in. That's fun. That's a huge. Are they getting the farm tour out there?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
We're doing that this afternoon, so.
Yeah. That'll start up at the horse barn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, and the core strength, because they do move so slow, is incredible.
And especially since, you know, when they extend down by just hanging by their two back legs
Oh, yeah.
and have to bring themselves all the way back up, I definitely could not do that.
Well, even just as he was holding himself earlier and we were feeding, he wasn't just dangling down, that was all four.
Yeah.
Hi, Rachel, how are you?
All right, so you've got the VIP experience, and I think you're finished up here, so we'll go ahead and come out and we're just gonna sanitize your hands.
Have fun.
I will, thank you.
Pictures.
I will, thank you.
So be up here, just sanitize for you.
Getting everything set up for you here. You're gonna be in that blue chair.
All right.
Gosh, it's pretty cool, huh?
He's cool. I just love watching him move.
Yeah,
I don't have to like hold him or anything, I just watch him move.
they're so smooth.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Alright. So Zoe's enclosure is in here.
Hi, Waku. You're like a little alien.
Yes.
You're like a little alien.
So this is Zoe.
Hi, Zoe.
Zoe is about 17 months old now. And so when we hold her, we always just have to be sure and support